Cars are on the track. The people of Daytona Beach have been waiting, and it is time for the Daytona 500, and we are here finally to give you all of our favorite betting picks for this race. Why don't you come down the back road with us and have a little Daytona fun?
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's all this race is.
Two for the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, we made it. The offseason is over, and the Super Bowl of NASCAR is upon us. Sunday's Daytona 500 will be the start of the NASCAR season, and we are here to bring you our best bets and all the fun for the Daytona festivities here on the Backroad in between medias NASCAR betting podcast. My name is Elliot Hicks. We've got Rod Villagomez here with us. Rod, I would say thanks for coming on, but I know you didn't want to miss this Daytona 500 show. We're still thankful to have you, but we knew you were ready for this one.
I would not miss this one for the world. I mean, this is what you live for. This is the one where no team's going to get blown out 40 to 20 something. We're going to watch 40 cars, maybe 41, have a great time. But yeah, this is what we all, the payoff of what we wait for all off season long.
Unbelievably thankful for another year with you at the program, Rod, as well as another year with IBT's founder, Seth Woolcock. Man, I know you're excited for this weekend and the rest of the year too.
Boys, it's been 94 long days since we last gambled on a points-paying NASCAR Cup Series race, and it just so happens that NASCAR starts out with the granddaddy of them all. Honestly, it's the best super speedway race of the season to wager on, not only because of the hype, the anticipation, the excitement, but because this is the most unique markets we get offered all year on any track. So I am very, very excited, so much that last night I had a dream that one of my outrights wrecked in qualifying and had to go to a backup car. So that's where we're kind of at right now. When I say we live and we eat and we sleep this shit, I ain't kidding, Elliot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Of course, Daytona 500 qualifying is tonight. We will give you our best bets pre-qualifying, whether some of the books still have odds up or not. Is TBD, but these are numbers that we got some as far back as December, some as recently as this morning. Quali will start around 8:15. We'll try to give you some updates on some times here, especially with those open cars, but we will be focused on the bets, of course, primarily, and we'll give you the horizon forecast for the Daytona track as well. Tomorrow, we'll be live as well. Seth and I will give you a bonus episode tomorrow after the duels with our duel reaction, as well as our Xfinity and Truck Series best bets. So tune in for that tomorrow. Probably 15, 20 minutes after the end of duel number 2, once we figure out who's in the race and all that, and we can try to form some bets or form some things that we're looking for from there. We've got some exciting news, though. Also, Seth, I'll take it over to you for some exciting backroad news that we got recently.
Yeah, so we were named an FSWA finalist for Best Podcast in the multiple sports category. Super thankful for that. I mean, what an honor this truly is. We're heading into the 5th season of this program. So to even be named a finalist and recognized by our industry peers was really, really cool to see. Very blessed and grateful for that. I've been nominated for several FSWA awards throughout my career, and none tops this, boys, because I see the work week in, that week out, that both you, Elliot, and both Rod is putting into this. So grateful for it. All the glory to God, guys. I mean, just so blessed to be on this ride with y'all and the entire IBT family. So cheers to us, baby. And let's have a hell of a 2025 season, and let's take home this damn award. Let's go.
Cheers.
No doubt about it.
Let's go.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers to some Traveler whiskey. Toast to JRM's first Cup start too. But hey, we are so thankful. I'm so thankful for you, Seth, for putting some faith in our NASCAR program here and all the work you put into the show as well. Rod, we're super thankful for all of your contributions as well. And super thankful to all of you, our IBT family. So hey, why not make it official and join the IBT Racing family? It's our Discord group that we have where we give you exclusive weekly betting model access. Our Daytona model's been in there for a couple days, I think. You can join a Discord chat with us. All 3 of us are there, as well as Ryan for my fantasy race and the rest of our racing family. We've had some good chatter the last couple of days, a couple bets popping up, a couple, some just some good racing chat that also will have you give you entry into our giveaways our Daytona 500 giveaway, I think will be next week. Ross Chastain autograph mini helmet going out based on being in that Discord. It's $3.99 a month or $36 for the year, less than $1 per year, only a handful of units depending on your allocation. So we certainly think it's worth it. We've had a good time in there. I think Seth and Rod, you can speak for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, just been such a blast to chat in there with the Discord, with the IBT family. We hope to continue to grow that community, especially this week during the Daytona 500. Already cashed 2 exclusive Discord bets for the Clash a couple weeks ago as well. The model was swinging a hot bat there at Bowman Gray. I'm up 6.5 units heading into the season. Got the top three of the top 5 right. And, I think we could have even had some bigger gains on the day if Ryan Blaney could have sealed the deal. But, always the bridesmaid, rarely the bride, Ryan Blaney. But hope to see y'all in there. Rod, I know you've been in there mixing it up as well this past couple weeks.
I mean, the whole point of having a community is being able to get together and talk about things that you love to talk about. And obviously we love talking NASCAR. And I think the folks that have joined the Discord, especially in this first go around, have enjoyed it as well, because it's pretty active. It's one of the more active that I've been a part of. And, what I love the best is when you come back after maybe 4 or 5 hours of having to be at work or wherever away from your phone. And you have to scroll through to get to the newer that's where we're at. And I can only imagine how much is going to grow the more folks decide to jump in there and have some fun with us.
We certainly are super thankful for everyone who has joined and will join. You can find a link to that in the episode description. Also, we'll be pushing it on socials as well. We're excited to welcome anyone and everyone we can into the IBT Racing family. Lord knows there's going to be some more exclusive bets there. I don't know about you guys, but only about half my Daytona card is going to be on the show tonight. But before we'll shout out to Marcus here. Who's your pick to win at the Daytona 500? Guys, I don't know who Marcus is picking. This is a really tough one. I've got no idea. Man. Oh, Christopher Bell. Yeah, okay.
He's in there spreading his C-Bell love into the IBT family media chat over there on the Discord. So, Marcus, we appreciate you, brother. We also got Brian Brown tuning in saying he thinks Tyler Reddick's going to win both the 500 and then potentially Bell winning the championship. So, I appreciate you, Brian. Hope you're having a great Wednesday night. Thanks for tuning in with us. We got Mallory as well saying happy NASCAR season. What's up, Mal? Great to see you. Thanks so much for supporting us here at IBT as always. And yeah, man, like last thing I'll kind of say on that is one, you got there's not too many people in there now. So you got a great chance to win that Ross Chastain helmet. That can already be, the money back in your pocket that you just spent to help support us over here at IBT. And we're going to be giving gainers out exclusively in the Discord all season long as well.
No doubt about it. More giveaways too. I know we got some Michael McDowell, our boy McNasty, some stuff later in the year as well as some other fun things too. Man, I know we're all excited for the bets, but let's break down the track and the weekend schedule first in the Horizon Forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So, of course, this week is the Daytona 500. In our entry list, we've got, of course, the 36 chartered cars and 9 open cars this year, an entry list of 45, which is super duper cool. And it'll make the duels and qualifying really exciting. Those open cars are the 01 of Corey LaJoie for Rick Ware Racing, the number 40, Justin Allgaier, that Traveler Whiskey car for Junior Motorsports, the number 44, JJ Yaley for NY Racing, Martin Truex Jr. in the number 56 for Tricon, Anthony Alfredo will drive the Beard 62, Chandler Smith in the MBM number 66, our boy BJ McLeod in the number 78.
BJ.
Jimmie Johnson in the 84 for Legacy, and Hélio Castroneves in the number 91 for Trackhouse. That's 4 open spots, and Hélio Castroneves, of course, also has the open exemption provisional, which means if he does not make the field by a traditional manner, he will be a 41st bonus spot. How this is going to work in terms of the open cars and who makes it, the top open car in each duel will be the primary ones to make the race, and then you can also fall back. 2 cars can fall back on their qualifying speed. This is going to be a heck of a battle to make the 500, guys. Do you have any opinions on some of these open cars here?
I mean, it's hard not to get excited when you got JRM in the mix for the first time with Justin Allgaier. I'm rooting for him. Martin Truex Jr. with Tricon in their first Cup entry. So I'm expecting a lot of speed out of those programs because, we know that Allgaier can kind of latch on to that Hendrick garage, potentially learn a couple things from them. Same with Hélio. I expect those to really be the fast cars. And Rod, we've kind of already heard out of Chandler Smith that, hey, they might not really have it in that number 66 car. And I think we'll hear maybe potentially similar things out of the 44 camp tonight.
He probably felt like he was driving the diecast 66 and was trying to figure out where the speed was in that one. But no, listen, I'm pumped to see Jimmie back out there. I really want a good day out of Jimmie because I've watched so many bad days out of Jimmie that I want to see a good one out of this one. And Justin Allgaier, he's going to benefit from that Hendrick Motorsports preparing of that car, which, I mean, they officially announced, I think they did. He's going to prepare that car. That's essentially going to be a fifth Hendrick car.
For the most part. I mean, Greg Ives is the crew chief who's been doing the Hendrick Xfinity stuff the last couple of years. So there's a lot of Hendrick help over there. So that'll make that car fast. But the beauty of it is it isn't just that speed. We can see a Chandler Smith or a JJ Yaley make it by racing well in the duels. A couple of years ago, it was just last year, we almost saw JJ Yaley knock Jimmie Johnson out of the field. So it definitely can happen. And that'll be exciting to watch as well as everything else throughout the weekend. Of course, the garage opened up this morning. We had an opening practice 50 minutes this morning, and then pole qualifying gets started in about 25 minutes at 8:15. Again, I'll keep half an eye on that and give you some times while that's going on. Tomorrow night, of course, we've got the two dual races. There'll be 60 laps, 150 miles apiece. That'll get started around 7 o'clock with duel number 2. I think Bob said maybe 23 minutes exactly after duel 1 or something like that. On Friday, celebrate Valentine's Day by watching second practice, 5:35 to 6:25 p.m. And then the truck race at 7:30, the Fresh from Florida 250. Saturday, we've got Cup Series final practice 3:05 to 3:55. And then the Xfinity Series race at 5 o'clock, the United Rentals 300. Again, tune in tomorrow night after the duels. We will give you our duel reaction, our best Truck Series bets, and our best Xfinity Series bets. And then on Sunday, the Great American Race, the 67th Daytona 500, scheduled to go green at 2:30 p.m., 200 laps, 500 miles, stages at 65, 65, and 70 laps. Just hoping the rain stays away is all I can say on Sunday.
Yeah, man. Come on, Mother Nature. Pull through for us. I just want to say Friday night, too, I will not be watching the truck race live. Got some plans with the significant other here. Just got engaged a couple months ago. So, need to show her a little attention before we dive into a weekend full of racing. So don't text, don't email, don't at me in the Discord. Elliot will be somewhat in the mix because Elliot can never watch anything behind. Elliot was at my house for a truck race a couple months ago, and it felt like Elliot, we're watching what's happening live. Elliot was not surprised. He was looking at his phone the entire time, you asshole.
I don't know how you set the DVR and watch it 3-4 hours behind.
Rod doesn't.
You're gonna have to mute that Discord because I feel like there'll be lots of people watching live along with us there this weekend. It'll be fun to watch.
If anyone spoils it, it can be Rod because he's a fucking G, or the IBT family. If you spoil anything for me, you've done that like 50 times in my life already. So
I've learned 50 is a little much. I might have done it once or twice, but now at the very least, if I send a text, I'll say, "Hey, you caught up, Jim?"
Yeah.
You'll wait to text me back until you are. So
don't worry, Seth, because I'm not going to spoil it for you because I'm going to be watching it probably 3 hours after you're done watching it.
Yeah, baby. Gotta love that West Coast time out there for Rod. So looking closer at Daytona here, guys, this is the World Center of Racing. It's a 2.5-mile large super speedway. The primary comps that we have to it are Atlanta and Talladega. I like Atlanta if you really want to start getting ticky-tacky with it, a little bit better of a comp. It's a bit more narrower like Daytona. Talladega is very, very wide, especially kind of coming out of the turn. So we can look at both those metrics, but really Daytona, kind of its own beast. The 500, a little bit of its own beast, separate from the Coke Zero Sugar 400 that we see in the summer as well.
Even that is its own beast because a lot of times it's the regular season cutoff.
Right.
And you really will see guys send it. Although you see guys send it to win the Daytona 500 too. Very prestigious races will bring upon some interesting things on track.
Absolutely. Looking at a couple trends here, the most recent driver to win from the pole, that was our guy Dale Jarrett, probably back in the UPS car. 2000 was that year. Also, it's the last time a reigning Cup Series champion came off the championship victory and won that race as well. So maybe that dash was hopes for Joey Logano, or potentially maybe he can keep it rolling here. Denny Hamlin, Jimmie Johnson, the only actives with more than one 500 win. Denny Hamlin, Jimmie Johnson, and Austin Dillon, they make up a trio of the only drivers who've won both the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600 as well. So that's very exciting. And then 9 drivers, first career wins came at the 500. Most recently, Michael McDowell in 2021, Austin Cindric in 2022. So it can happen. I don't know if you guys remember all the way back when Trevor Bayne did it too, but that was a race I'll never forget. So it can happen with some of these younger guys. The best finish for a driver making his first Cup Series start came in 2023. That was Riley Herbst. So again, these youngsters, these first timers, they have a chance. Travis Pastrana, just a couple years ago too, he finished 11th in his debut in the Cup Series as well. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Nitro Circus or not, but last year the top 10 included 4 Chevys, 2 Toyotas, 2 Fords. Although Fords really did kind of dominate that race, they just kind of took themselves out at the end. And finally, the winners from the Daytona 500 traditionally come from the front row, 24%, top 5, 44%, top 10, 68%, and outside the top 20, 10% of the time. That's 7 times total. The last time that happened, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 2023 started 31st. So, Rod, even though, you might not have the best qualifying, you're always in it until the fat lady sings, as they say.
Well, and because in this particular track, when you get 3 lanes going, all you have to do is just be the right time to jump out in that 3rd lane and catch the momentum out there, or, hang with that 2nd lane enough to where it gains enough momentum. All you have to do is put yourself at the right place at the right time. And we've seen Denny Hamlin jump to the back of the pack because he doesn't like the energy and storm back up front because he finds the right lane to jump into. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, this, more than any track out there, it doesn't matter where you start. It just matters which lane you pick at the right time to get yourself back up to the front.
It really does surprise me, though, to see these stats kind of along the lines of what we see from most other tracks, because it really does feel like a lot of times the super speedways, especially Daytona and Talladega, are just chaotic. And I know there are definitely a few bets on all of our cards, I feel like, that show just the true chaos. Anyone can win. Anyone can do it from anywhere. But having a fast car and being able to have the racecraft at super speedways, obviously still quite important. I was not expecting the top 10 starting spot number, especially, to be at 68%.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty in line with a lot of the mile and a halves that we go to, boys. So that was pretty cool to see. And but it still shows you, like, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won from outside the top 20 just a couple years ago. Last time, Denny Hamlin, I think he started 21st or something back in the year 2020. So it can very well happen. Before we get to the bets too, I just want to shout out our guy, Ryan, over at iFantasyRace.com with the Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week. They provide all our data for our model, for our betting picks. So make sure you guys are checking them out at iFantasyRace.com. Ross Chastain's the guy we're kind of putting in the scope this week. In the Daytona 500 a season ago, Chastain was a factor late, had control of the race, following the final green flag pit cycle until the big one came, in which he kind of lost that lead during the following restart. Then on the last lap, Chastain, he wrecked Austin Cindric, who was running second, and took himself out in the process. Ends up finishing all the way back to a 21st place result. So in that race, so Chastain did lead 14 laps. I'm high, very, very high on this entire Trackhouse Garage, Elliot.
Yeah, and the thing with Chastain, we know that he's an aggressive driver. I feel like maybe last year he made his move just a little too early and was a little too rambunctious, we'll just say. He was very much not clear. Took out Cindric and a couple other cars and really robbed us of what was going to be a great finish, whether Ross was going to be involved or not.
Yeah, Daniel Suarez, Rod, another guy traditionally has success at these super speedways. So are you kind of favoring or at least looking Trackhouse's way right now?
I think Ross Chastain, I think he's got enough to pull through to have a good day. And I mean, if we go by the fact that he's going to have now 2 teammates to kind of pull him along, and then that long line of Chevys, obviously, who pretty much dominate anything. I think he's talented enough to do it. Obviously, we've seen him be able to hang with the leaders at this track. So really for Ross, I don't want to make too much out of this season for him, but now that SVG's in the house, the shine may be off the apple, because if SVG comes in and starts outperforming Ross, and you're kind of like, all right, watermelon's a little bit less sweet than it was last year. So I think he needs to step it up and claim that top spot in that garage.
Not to mention Connor Zilic is going to be racing in Cup in 2 weeks' time when we go to COTA, and he'll be up there pretty soon too. But with Trackhouse, it is going to be strength in numbers. They're guaranteed to have 4 cars in the race, and that is big.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we're here for the bets, so let's go ahead and get to them in this week's Parking Garage Props.
Let's do it.
Before we get into the bets, I will make a quick programming note. Last year, along with the parking garage props, we would do tire tiers and rank drivers based on DFS. That section's been cut from the show. We've been able to provide enough productive discussion and enough productive bets that the tire tiers just felt like it was kind of unnecessary because we talk about all the drivers we're interested in the bets. So why would we talk about guys that we don't think are going to do well? Anyway, point is, parking garage props, impressions of the books. There's no notes on this show sheet here, at least on my end. I'm just happy it's the Daytona 500. We get lots of cool offerings, and we've got some bets on a lot of different ones. That's for sure.
I think they knocked it out of the park, right? Like, I mean, this was one of the best offerings I've seen in a long time. No, like, traditional top 20s, but we did get some other fun markets kind of along those same lines. A lot of over-unders that Caesars was ripping out too. And, I mean, we've had a lot of these offerings for weeks now, if not months. Elliot, you and I did our first Daytona preview show back in, early December. I think you were kind of right along those same lines, Rod, that you and Cody over there on your program were also invested early.
Yeah, as soon as the odds hit, we were like, all right, let's go. Emergency podcast. Let's get these done. But honestly, I do like that the books are putting a little more attention onto at least the Daytona 500 for now, because of course they know this is when they're going to get the most action. But I implore them to keep some of these markets around for just the normal races too, because a lot of these are a lot of fun to bet on and to actually dig into, because, drivers to lead a lap or number of this X amount of manufacturers in the top 10, like some of those disappear on normal tracks. So I'd like to see them keep this book open for a lot of folks. And hell, if they need a handicapper, I tell you, I'm still available if they want it. But it's a lot of fun to watch the books get involved the way they do. And, let's keep going. I know Daytona's huge, but there's folks that like to do this outside of Daytona.
Rod's going to the dark side. Rod's going to become the enemy here pretty soon, I think, is what I'm hearing, Elliot.
I'm about to play chess while you guys are playing checkers.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Can't blame you there. And Lord knows, if the numbers are out there, people like us and people like the IBT fam, we're going to bet them. And, unfortunately, not every bet hits. So the book's making more money. Just put a little more time into it. We'll get there. But all right, let's kick it off with the outrights here. I'll start with one of those numbers that I did get all the way back in December. Todd Gilliland, I got it 75-1 over on Caesars. That number has come down and been bet down dramatically. I didn't look at it what it was today, but I think it was somewhere in the 20-1 range, if not even lower than that. You guys can correct me if you happen to see it. This is the number I got in December. Like I said, we know the front row cars are fast in qualifying. We know this 34 kicked ass on the super speedways and won the pole in every race but the Daytona 500 that we ran on super speedways. And I think he was P2 in the 500 there on the front row. Lots of success on super speedways in the 34 as well. For Todd Gilliland, it hasn't quite been as good. He's made 6 Daytona starts and has DNF'd in 5 of them. It kind of gives me an incomplete grade on Todd Gilliland overall on the super speedways. Of course, I'm sure that not all 5 of those accidents were his fault. That's just what happens on super speedways. I'm intrigued by Todd Gilliland being the main guy at FRM now. He's in that 34, which was bad fast. And I'm optimistic on the 34, especially at this number that I got him at. If what it is now, I'm probably not looking at it as much, but at 75-1, I'm really happy I'll be riding with this weekend.
14th in the model, so I can't blame you at all. And like you said, it's really like the average finish is what draws him back. He has a very high Daytona Next Gen total speed rankings over there from iFantasy Race. He's been good at the comps, really good at Talladega, always were the top 10 flyer there. So he's really been good pretty much everywhere. He's ran good in the Coke Zero Sugar 400 last year as well. So it's really just the Daytona stats, specifically in the next gen era in the 500 specifically, that kind of brings him down.
Yeah, but hey, 75-1.
Yep. Oh, the number is fantastic. Sure. Yeah, yep. The number is fantastic. Absolutely. I don't know what you can currently find, but I don't hate that at all. Rod, any thoughts on Gilliland here, and also your first outright of the night that you'd like to share?
Well, so unfortunately, the books have pulled all the odds down right now because of the qualifying. Yep. So don't know if it's 75-1, but hey, it may be close if he doesn't qualify well again. So
it definitely was lower, that's for sure. Yeah, I guess, Rod, you've got one outright on the sheet here. Seth queued you up, so we'll let you go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah, okay. Look, you look at our model, you look at all the stats and everything, and Ryan Blaney's not going to jump out at you, and that's probably good for us because we can at least get him at 13-1 over on Caesars or FanDuel right now actually has the best number on him. And you look at Ryan Blaney and you go, well, how on God's green earth can you pick a guy that is 17th in next-gen average finishes on this track, and you have to keep scrolling to get down to any good finishes with 17th as well in the heat chart. Like, there's not a
Mm.
lot to be excited about with Ryan Blaney when it comes to the Daytona 500. And I get that. But the thing about Blaney is that you're kind of hoping for a good run from Ryan Blaney. He's got 19 starts on this track, 9 DNFs. That means he's only finished this race 10 times out of 19. But in those 10 times, he's got 7 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and a win on this track. Now, the win came in the fall, not on the Daytona 500. But when he finishes near the top. A second place finish in 2020, another second place finish in 2017 in the Daytona 500, and that was in the 21 Wood Brothers car. So a fourth place finish in the 2022 Daytona 500. Again, Ryan Blaney, when he finishes this race, he finishes well, and I think he's got so much momentum rolling off of last season, right? Yeah, he didn't win the championship. Yeah, that was even year Joey Logano, but damn it, he was in the mix, right? And he was fighting for that. And I think for Ryan Blaney, the last couple of seasons have essentially established dominance in a place where a lot of people still overlook him, right? I mean, he's Ryan Blaney. He's not gonna be the life of the party. He's not gonna be the guy that the paparazzi follow. But by the end of the day, he's that guy that's going to be near the front of the pack. So, like I said, for 13-1, it seems short for a guy at the Daytona 500, but I think Ryan Blaney is worth the risk in this instance, especially if he finishes his race.
Yeah, Blaney's got a pretty impeccable Talladega record too. I think he's got a trio of wins there, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, Penske's always flying around here, right? Like, Penske, I'm not going to be surprised. I don't think anyone should be surprised if Logano, Blaney, Cindric, one of these guys, I mean, potentially maybe Josh Berry goes and puts it out on the front row tonight. Like, that's specifically the speed we could see. If he can put it all together, that's kind of what we want to see. It felt like last year a little bit that Cindric, Logano were hanging out, towards the front. Blaney was kind of going back and forth. He had a lot of speed, would kind of move back and forth, kind of had to Kyle Busch's way through it. So I don't hate that bet at all. And speaking of Kyle Busch, I mean, that was exactly what he was doing last year. I mean, Kyle Busch would go down pit road. He would speed. He'd head to the back of the pack. He would make his way back up. But Kyle Busch, clearly number one in our model. I got him at 14-1 over at Bet365. This was a boost. Everywhere else, he's down, the 12, the 11, 10-1 range. I love him over at 14-1. I think that's some great value. Best in the Daytona Next Gen average finish. Fourth in the Daytona Next Gen total speed rankings as well. And looking last year specifically at this race, the 500, number one in driver rating, number two in average running position, just kept coming back. And in the Coke Zero Sugar 400, almost won that race as well. Finished second to Harrison Burton. Very, very not aggressive driver when he, needs to wreck someone at the end to win, because that's just not his style. But this is a guy who's going to, This is a guy who's going to be in the mix. So third in driver rating in that Coke Zero Sugar 400, fourth in average running position. He also had the sixth best average finish at Atlanta and Talladega. I mean, who's going to forget that spring race when him and Suarez were so close? We had a Kyle Busch ticket that day. So I'm going back for revenge. I think Rowdy's going back for revenge. And what a way it would be to end your losing streak, winning the Daytona 500 for the first time in a Hall of Fame career for Rowdy fucking Busch.
Hey, and in terms of, you can take all the stats and throw them out the window if you want and just go on this. For Kyle Busch, it's his 20th Daytona 500. There was another certain guy who drove a black race car for Richard Childress Racing. It took him 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration to take home a Daytona 500 win. That 8 car does look mighty fine out there on the track.
Zones, baby. I'm not a zoner. I'm more of an on-ski guy myself, but, I'll support the entire big tobacco community out there on Kyle Busch's car.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. Just only if you're, is it 21 now or 18? I forget.
I think it depends on your state. It's 21 in Pennsylvania, but Rod's in a totally different place of the country, very different state from Pennsylvania. So you might need to be 35 out there in California. I'm not sure what the laws are going on out there with old Gavi.
I don't know. I still get carded just for walking in a liquor store anymore. So I don't know what the deal is. They see the gray hair. They're like,
Rod, you're not a day over 25, are you?
Yeah, it's a skin, baby.
Well, that might be a couple of days over 25.
Elliot, want to throw it back to you, man. Give us some other outrights here. I know you got a couple stanky ones.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got a couple other serious ones, but I will throw out one of those classic Daytona long shots. John Hunter Nemechek in the 42 at 100-1. This one came to me. I was sitting with Mallory last night, my girlfriend. or the other night, and I asked, hey, give me a number between 1 and 99. She picked 42. So John Hunter Nemechek it is right there. Shout out iFantasy Race for this stat, though, that does make JHN look like an interesting pick. In his career, he's 4 for 4 at finishing in the top 15 at Daytona with a P11 average finish. And in terms of the fastest lap set last summer, which is another interesting book that's out there or odd that we have, he was second in that. So that 42 car was running pretty fast. And like I said, at Daytona, you have to have some racecraft, but sometimes you just throw the notes out the window and pick a number between 1 and 99 from someone who's much more of an F1 fan than a NASCAR fan. So we have a little sprinkle on JHN thanks to Mel.
Legacy Motor Club, baby. Let's go. Look, Jimmie Johnson's going to be back on the track. I think this is a good year for him. Now that he is in full command of Legacy Motor Club, he doesn't have to answer to any other past champions. Pshaw. We're going solo, kids, and I think this is going to be good for that whole team. And, I'm looking forward to a good John Hunter Nemechek run with Jimmie in tow. Give me Jimmie, too. I love that man.
Yeah, won't be the last time you hear his name on the show tonight.
We got our guy Travis in the chat. What's up, Trav? I believe this is Trav from our Discord community as well. He's saying on the JHN top 10 at 4-1, feels like I should sprinkle on some of the outright now as well. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have any like super long outrights, and I'm getting a little FOMO after hearing that Elliot's on 100-1. That doesn't sound like the worst bet. And JHN, just a guy who seems to have somewhat of a magical touch here at Daytona so far in his career. I know he started out really hot last year, hoping to have kind of continued success here. So appreciate you, Trav, as always, for tuning in, buddy. I'll throw out my last outright here. I went about 3/4 on that of a unit on that Kyle Busch outright. I'm going half a unit here on this Bubba Wallace outright. I got him 22-1 at Caesars. And this is kind of the other side of placing race bets in the offseason. I thought Bubba Wallace at 22-1 at Caesars was the best value on the board. He ranks 4th in our model. Now you can get him at 28-1. So this is a bad number. Go get him 28-1. Don't bet him 22-1. Go find the 28-1. I think it's
Seth, at this point, you got to hope he doesn't qualify all that well and have that number go up a little more or double down.
Yeah. Honestly, I very well could. And, this is a situation with Bubba Wallace where he ranks high for us, 2nd in the Daytona Next Gen average finishes, 8th in the Daytona Next Gen total speed rankings, also top 10 last year in average position and driver rating at both of these Daytona races. The only thing that goes against him is that he's not super awesome at Talladega consistently. I know he's found victory lane there in the past, but traditionally not great at Talladega. Didn't have great runs at Atlanta last year. But as far as Daytona is concerned, Bubba Wallace is one of the best in this series. I do not think he should be overlooked. Another guy trying to end a winning streak that I got a season-long bet on. So, Bubba, come through for us, baby. I'll talk more about him later in the props as well.
Yeah, I was going to say my only thoughts on Bubba Wallace for right now. The only thing I'll share is that he was, between the three of us, our most bet driver in terms of the show tonight. So
we got it tight, man. We got to fucking type. I'll tell you what, man. Elliot, I think you got one more outright for us.
Yeah, those couple of Bubba bets. They don't even include this one, which technically includes him. The Toyota manufacturer outright, which I got at plus 260 over on Caesars. This makes sense. I always talk about why is one manufacturer longer than the other. It's a pretty easy explanation on the super speedways. Toyota has fewer cars than Ford and Chevrolet. The teams often work in big manufacturer packs, to the death, honestly, at these super speedway races. But Toyota's got a lot of good drivers. They've got Denny Hamlin and all the Gibbs guys. We've got some faith in legacy, as we just talked about a minute ago. They've got good drivers all around that camp. And I know this practice that we had this morning, some guys only ran a few laps. There's not a lot of stake put into it. Christopher Bell, one of the Toyota drivers, even said, why do we even need this practice? Let's just not do it next year. I like the idea of practice, and I like it because in that practice, 4 of the top 5 and 6 of the top 9 times were Toyotas.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with that, man. And Chris Bell, let's chill out on that a little bit. I like Speed Week. I like the entire week. It was really fun waking up at, early this morning, and at 10 a.m. rolls around. Hey, we got some racing to watch. So I'm about that. Guys, let's go ahead, though. Let's shift to placement props. Rod, I want to throw it over to you first, man. What are you kind of seeing out there that could be a little bit of value, whether that's a top 10, a top 5, anything in between, my friend?
So I'm loving the SVG top 10 bet. It was at plus 300 over on BetMGM when I got it. This is a vastly improved driver when it pertains to being able to learn how to run in ovals. And I think when you look at Shane Van Gisbergen, you're like, okay, road course. Yes, that's all fine and well, but he actually started to put together an opportunity. And this was in colleague equipment last year, right? Now he's in Trackhouse equipment. Now he's actually going to be with a couple of guys that are veterans at this one, at Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez. So we talked about Ross Chastain just a second ago, right? Being the Asterisk driver, being a driver that's looking out for. Shane Van Gisbergen, he's in this now. He's driving that beautiful 88 car, and I think he's got an opportunity to prove that he can hang with these guys. And now that he's figuring out the draft, I mean, he did fairly well when he was in Xfinity last year, starting to pick it up and figuring out how to do plate racing or restrictor racing or however you want to put it. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is an opportunity for SVG now to be in solid equipment around guys that know what they're doing with yet another year. The whole beating and banging thing kind of really threw him off last year, and it took him a while to get used to feeling a bumper on the back of his car, because obviously where he came from, you can't touch other drivers or else you get penalized. So he knows that you can actually use the car to your advantage. And I think a year of being able to play around in the draft, especially in the Xfinity Series, gave him an opportunity to be that much better in this one. And like I said, 3-1 for SVG to just get into the top 10. We're talking long shots to get anywhere. Anybody can get in that top 10. Chevy, obviously the biggest manufacturer group. He's got a lot of allies out there as well. So yeah, give me SVG as a top 10 car at 3-1.
Yeah, Rod, alluding to that point too, I read an interview I think just from earlier today or yesterday or something, SVG talking to Matt Weaver. He's learned a lot more about super speedway racing. He compared it to leading pigs to slaughter. He mentioned something about one of the races last year where there was a crash toward the finish. SVG laid off. He kept his car clean. He lost a couple of positions. Meanwhile, he sees Kyle Busch, one of the best in the business, tear it in there, drive straight into the crash, destroy his car, but finish 4 or 5 points better. And SVG realizes, hey, and over here, destroy the car. Who cares? Get those extra 4 or 5 points. Every point matters, even in this playoff system. He's learning how it goes in NASCAR, and I feel like that'll really help him in his first Cup season.
Yeah, I think it's a guy who's just improved so greatly. I'm excited to watch him the entire year. And yeah, I actually saw a different interview this morning, Elliot, with our friend Taylor Kitchens, and she was kind of asking him a little bit about that quote and how he feels differently. And it seems like he's just much more comfortable in this car on super speedways. He knows what to expect now. And so yeah, I think everyone down there for the media day is doing a great job. And SVG was definitely a topic of conversation, especially coming off just an absolute gainer of a performance at the Clash here just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, he ran pretty well down there. Like we kind of alluded to, hey, those road course guys might run pretty well in the tight turns. Worked out pretty well for that blue Trackhouse 88 this week. It'll be nice and white with that weather tech, as we'll see later. But not the last SVG bet on the card either. I don't have it, though. What I do have, shocker, everyone's going to be shocked. I'm betting on Alex Bowman. Just to finish top 10, though, plus 140 over on Bet365. The number felt kind of disrespectful when I was first looking because I saw a lot of juice, a lot of minus money bets. And for a guy like Bowman, how he's run on super speedways lately, having it at plus money just feels like taking candy from a baby. Minus the race last summer at Daytona where he got involved with McDowell, nearly flipping through his window net late in the race in the summer. Average finish at Daytona the last 2 years, 4.3. And on super speedways in the next gen overall, second best average finish at 12.7. And last year, second best average finish on the super speedways at 9.8. I've been saying it for years. I said it to Ryan at iFantasy Race when he tweeted out these stats a couple of weeks ago. I feel like this 48 car has gotten exponentially better at super speedway racing. We've seen him kind of run up front with that Hendrick power, qualify on the pole or on the front row for a million Daytona 500s. And just not quite know what he's doing. But I feel like the racecraft is starting to get there. We saw it last year. The 48 put himself in position to win that race. And if Chastain wasn't such a dummy, he might have been able to do it.
I mean, if the button was pushed a second later, he also probably wins. So
I've said that enough. I wanted to another point. So.
Yeah. No, I can't blame you on that call at all, man. Alex Bowman, super consistent. Not really the number I'd be looking for a top 10. It's a little light for me, but with someone who's been such a heavy favorite as far as just pure speed here, I can't blame you for taking it. whatsoever. You guys have a couple more here, traditional top 10s. I have a couple placement props, but kind of outside this range. So I think we have a Riley Herbst Top Toyota bet as well. Elliot, that sounds like something up your alley, I imagine, unless Rod's getting a little crazy on us as well.
No, I do indeed have the Herbst Top Toyota bet. That is at plus 1,500 over on Bet365. Another interview from the last couple of days, or at least from the offseason, Denny Hamlin, his team owner, putting on record that Herbst is better than people think he is. He had a good year last year at SHR, won a couple of races there, and has also done well in the super speedways. As we talked about, what the best finish for a guy making his first start in the 23 Daytona 500, finished 10th in a Rick Ware car in the number 15. We've also seen him mix it up front, especially at Talladega in 2023, led a handful of laps, finished 9th in that Dega race. He ran a couple for Front Row Motorsports. Of course, we know they have speed. So part of that was Riley Herbst with the equipment behind him. And he's also got probably maybe even the best equipment he's ever driven in this 2311. We've seen the 23 and the 45 run well. Tyler Reddick making the championship for last year. We're going to assume the equipment's behind him. I remember from years and years ago when 2311 got started, Denny Hamlin saying, well, running one team is fine. Running two teams is okay, but it makes the most financial sense. If you're going to do two teams, you may as well run three. They're finally reaching that manifest destiny with Riley Herbst. And with the Toyotas, like I said, the numbers a little lower in the field, so that just gives you a better shot for a guy like Herbst to come out on top.
I mean, top 10 in his first ever start here. Like he has that to go off of, and definitely in the best equipment. And he was driving Rick Ware Racing equipment at that point. I'll be kind of excited to see how much of an adjustment it is for going from a ship box to one of the best cars in the garage. Kind of same thing with Chase Briscoe, but hard to know. And hopefully he can just, keep it between the white and the yellow. That's what I used to always hear when, leaving certain places, doing certain things as, an underage adult. Keep it between the white and the yellow, baby. So, Rod, I'd like to throw it over to you, though, here, staying in the placement props. I know you have a new market this year that we're kind of starting to explore here. Or actually, no, is this an Elliot bet as well? I think, this is an Elliot bet as well.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you're alluding to my both top 10 bet, or are you thinking of the lead lap bet?
Yeah, I was thinking the lead lap finish here. Yeah, so this is a totally new market. We've never had this market before. The reason I thought it was a Rod bet is because we had Jimmie Johnson in it. So that was kind of just the assumption there. So apologies for myself on that one. But this is such a cool market because while it's a little bit juicier than a traditional top 20 market would be, realistically, you're looking for roughly a top 20-ish finish probably right here, Elliot.
That makes sense to me. I'll give a quick qualifying update before we go into this. 5 cars out on track now. Michael McDowell, a lot of people curious how he was going to run in the Spire, ran a 49.571, which is the top of the board so far. Haley, Nemechek, and Stenhouse, the other 4 with Gregson out on track right now. We'll talk about McDowell a little more in a minute, but I will start with that Jimmie Johnson lead lap finish bet. Again, a lot of those were minus money, pretty juiced. Jimmie Johnson plus 110 just to finish on the lead lap. Of course, this is so risky because Legacy, especially last season, they stunk out loud. And Jimmie is not guaranteed to make the race in this 84. But it feels like part of his plan. Not only does he have full control now of Legacy and has had to make some changes there, fired some people. It feels like his plan probably to stay out of the chaos, kind of use his wit at the end, figure out how this car is going to run and try to stay around. He, like I said, the primary Jim now at Legacy, and he's got Shaq power behind him too, the Shaq designed car. And to be honest, this is crazy to say about a 7-time champ, Hall of Famer, one of the best 5 drivers to ever race in the Cup Series. I feel like Jimmie Johnson's got something to prove. Again, that's insane to say, but Legacy has not run like they needed to. Jimmie has not run like he needed to. He doesn't even have a top 25 finish in the next gen. But I just feel like things are changing. We know that Jimmie's not in his prime anymore. We know he doesn't run full time. We know that this may be one of his last 2 Cup starts in general. But I do feel like with this Legacy Motor Club ride, at the very least, to finish on the lead lap, I'm okay betting on the 84.
Rod, how do you feel about this? Because I don't want to poo-poo on this because I think if you're getting plus money on this is good. We did see Jimmie Johnson in his last trip out in this 84 car, actually his best finish in the next gen era, finishing 26. So I do like that. I do, Shaq's awesome. Love that he was, kind of part of this, plan, putting this car together. It feels a bit risky here pre-duels not knowing if Jimmie Johnson will qualify into this race. That's my only concern with it.
Not sure how I feel about somebody the same age as me not being in their prime anymore. Because but listen,
Rod, you don't drive Cup Series cars for a living.
No, I mean I drive my Equinox and my Traverse, and it's not as
you are right in your prime in that market, my friend.
But no, listen, I get it though, and I feel that, Jimmie. I know sitting in a car for 4 hours is probably not the most fun in the entire world when you're our age, but Elliot, I agree with you. I think the time is running out for him to be able to just be in that car anymore, right? Because obviously it's fun to want to get back in and kick it around with the kids, but at some point you have to grow up and realize that it's time to, take the lead from the front. And as fun it is to jump in the car, you're more important in the leadership role. So, the time's running out. And I think for Jimmie to put in a solid effort here in this, and I'm good for him to finish on the lead lap. Because if you look, and when I was trying to figure out like drivers to finish on lap 100, there's a lot of drivers that still finish on the lead lap. Honestly, it's a shocking number of drivers that don't necessarily even complete a couple hundred laps, right? You think that everybody crashes out at once, but there's quite a few drivers that still finish on the lead lap. So if all we're asking for Jimmie to do is to not get in trouble and finish on the lead lap, that's plus 110 is a really good price for that.
Well, and I think it feels like a really good price, especially when you think about the bets I'm about to throw out to you folks. So I'm going to stay in this same market, first time market, had to get down with it. Zane Smith, lead lap finish, -140 at Caesars. I'm going a unit and a half on this one. Bet him top 20 last year, and he cashed it. He's actually 3 for 3 at Daytona, finishing on the lead lap, and he finished 13th every single time. He's 3 for 3 at doing it. Also, 5 for 6 of finishing on the lead lap at super speedways last year. This guy just has a knack for staying out of trouble, and now he's in a front row motorsports car who put a car on the front row of all 6 super speedways in 2024.
Zane is currently the polecat, 7 cars through with a 49.505. McDowell, Truex, Gregson, the top 4.
I was honestly considering throwing a little sprinkle on him for the pole, just because like this is the type of car you're getting in front row motorsports that probably doesn't hold. But regardless, just give me a lead lap finish here, Zane. The only concern is like eventually trends have to go the other way, right? So that is the concern. And like maybe now that he has a little more horses under the hood, maybe it gets away from him. But I feel really good about Zane Smith there. Also, another guy that we rarely bet, deserves a shout out here, deserved another unit and a half of my bankroll here. Cody Ware, lead lap finish, baby, -130 at Caesar Sportsbook. I know we like to take shots at Cody Ware. I get it. But he had an average finish of 21.0 in 9 races last season. He definitely improved, and he finished on the lead lap of 7 of 9 in those starts. Also, 4 for 4 at doing that at super speedways, average finish of 17.5. Also, 3 for 4 at finishing on the lead lap in Daytona next-gen races as well. The one race he didn't, 2022 Daytona 500, he ran 200 of the 201 laps in that race. So, I know it sounds gross. I know you never want to pay minus money to bet Cody Ware, but damn it, I'm doing it because the trends are telling me to, boys. Giddy up.
If there's one track you're going to bet Cody Ware on, I do agree it's Daytona. He's got to be excited to be back full-time. His dad's team, Rick Ware Racing, putting all the eggs in his basket once again. So that's got to make you feel good. He has not come out on track yet. Smith's still the polecat. Ricky Stenhouse, kind of a stinker of a lap. Smith with a 49.505. Stenhouse ran a 50.148. So 0.6 off of the lead there. Stenhouse, a guy normally pretty good here, but also won from pretty far back in the pack in 23 when he won the 500.
Yeah. All right, Elliot, you got one more traditional place to prop. What do you got for us?
Sort of traditional, one of those pre-made parlay bets. Michael McDowell and Bubba Wallace both to finish top 10 at plus 225 on Caesars. Arguably, when you look at the stats, I didn't give an extensive enough look to our model yet. I will be doing that later. We will put out our traditional bets article as well with the model stats before the end of the week, ideally tomorrow, if my slow ass can get it written, probably after the show tonight. Anyway, point is, they're 2 of the strongest Daytona racers out there. They both kind of have something to prove. Bubba Wallace on a long winless streak, Michael McDowell leaving the safety nest of Front Row Motorsports, moving over to Spire. They both got something to prove. For the 23 in the Daytona 500 alone, Bubba's been really strong when he finishes races, kind of like with Ryan Blaney. When he doesn't get in a mess, he finishes pretty well. He's got 2 runner-ups in the 500 as well as a P5 and 6 top 10s overall at Daytona. Of course, McDowell has the 2021 Daytona 500 win. Only 8 career top 10s, so he's ended up in trouble more often than not, like we saw last year, especially the Talladega. Crashed out there leading Daytona in the summer and fall. Crashed out while he was running up front. Damn if he isn't always there. He's just got to learn to stay there. I feel like that's something Spire could help him out with too. I like this pre-made parlay, both of them in the top 10.
It's fine. I like Travis Peters. I like Travis Peters. I like what he can do
Travis
with Michael
Peterson, the crew chief for 71.
Yeah, sorry, cut off the last few letters there, but I like what he can do with Michael McDowell. I do like McDowell. I'm curious to see where the speed is at compared to Front Row Motorsports, but more Bubba Wallace, the better for me, Rod.
Yeah, well, again, for Bubba Wallace, I think this is going to be a good year for him, and I hope that it starts he's not going to have a whole lot of help with Tyler Reddick, and I mean, I know that everybody's pretty high on, including me, we're pretty high on Tyler Reddick, but his average finish here, and he hasn't had very good finishes at all over the last, I think he's, he hasn't finished in 7 of 11 races on this track. It's just a horrendous track for Tyler Reddick, so Wallace is going to have to do it by himself, along with his owners and the other Toyotas that are out there. But yeah, I think he can get it done. And McDowell, you're right. He just has to stay clean and stay fast. Obviously, he's fast enough to be second right now on the qualifying board. So can he stay that way? And can he stay that way through the entire race? I like plus 225 for a boat to finish top 10, especially when top 10 markets have been nuked for the most part. So yeah, this is a good combo.
Rod,
this may have been one that I also got back in December. So this number may not be the same now. I didn't denote those quite as similarly.
We also, just something to kind of preview to tomorrow's night episode, I'm sure we'll talk more about it. We also have some Xfinity and truck top 10 parlays that are pre-made out there as well. So excited to get those for sure. Excited to get invested with potentially a couple of those. Rod, you do like Bubba Wallace, but you're actually fading 23-11 as a whole in the only matchup we're going to feature on tonight's program. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so again, I was just talking about Tyler Reddick, and this kind of ties into the bet that I'm taking. I'm going to take Childress over 23-11. This is at minus 110. So any one of those drivers is to finish better than any of the other drivers. And honestly, you guys were talking up Bubba Wallace, and that's all fine and well. But like I said, Tyler Reddick has not finished 7 of 11 of his races in Daytona at all overall. So 4 races that he's finished, and only 2 of those have been top 10 finishes, and none of those have really been in the 45 car, which he's in now. He's crashed 3 out of 4 times in this 45 car at Daytona. At the Daytona 500 in 2023, 39th place finish. That was a wreck. He did finish in the fall, but he finished in 25th in the spring. The Daytona 500 of last year, 29th place finish. He did start 3rd, right? Which is great. You thought, oh, good. Finally, we're going to buck the trend. No, he crashed out, ended up finishing 28th in the fall of 2024 as well. His only top 10 finishes in this entire run on his career, 2 in the 8 car, a 5th place finish in the fall of 2021 and a 2nd place finish in the fall of 2022. So he has not finished inside of the top 10 at all at a Daytona 500 in his career. That's alarming, right? That's something you don't think about when you think Tyler Reddick, because initially you're like, oh, Tyler Reddick, regular season champion, great everywhere. That's great, but he's not great at Daytona. Just a very tough sell for him to turn it around. And so for me, I'm looking at this as more of like a Kyle Busch versus Bubba Wallace type of a thing. And we've already talked up Kyle Busch. We've already talked up Bubba Wallace, but I think Kyle Busch, this is the season that he's probably got to get it done, right? I mean, this is a contract year for Kyle Busch. If he wins the Daytona 500, the conversation stops there. It's just about how much money he's going to get to re-sign, right? That's in the back of his head. I think he's going to go out and have a stellar job. Bubba Wallace, he may get in the top 10, but I don't like his chances of a top 5 finish. So for me, this is, like I said, a kind of a head-to-head matchup between Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace, because Tyler Reddick, we already laid it out, and Austin Dillon, I'm not even gonna put him.
Hey, he's won it before, man.
Former Daytona champ, 2-time Daytona winner.
2-time, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm still not necessarily high on his prospects in this particular season. So yeah, give me Childress over 23-11.
No, I understand that. I'm okay with any matchups because Daytona's so crazy that it really doesn't matter where the stats go. You could see all those guys get caught up in a wreck. Riley Herbst is the only one left. Top Toyota in 23-11 over, or like your Austin Dillon, you were kind of downplaying him, but I don't mind him finishing ahead of these guys too.
Yeah, you really got to pick your spots with matchups on super speedways. I didn't have any in my card just because I was so excited about some of these other markets, but it's definitely a place like you can probably have one or two here at a super speedway, but definitely have to be selective because this is a place where the trends have really bit me. I found drivers I feel like at times that have been like 7 for 7 beating another driver at a super speedway. We go to the 8th one and got absolutely mauled. So it can happen to the best of us. Travis in the chat here saying Brian didn't want to hear this. I think he was referring to potentially maybe Brian Twining, or am I getting this wrong?
That's my assumption too, but we'll have to see for clarification.
Okay. And then also some SVG love for our guy TK. What's up, TK? Good to see you, brother. Also kind of pointing out practice very hard to take a lot from that earlier because there was some drafting happening there for the Toyotas to get on the top of the chart. So
I admitted that it wasn't super important. I didn't admit that I was also kind of cherry picking, but
yeah,
it helped my Toyota bet. So open cars update. We've been through 12 cars right now. Truex and Jimmie hold the top 2 open car times. Allgaier, Castroneves, Alfredo behind those 2. So they will have to race in through the duels or the OEP for Hélio.
Okay. Well, speaking of Hélio here, I'm going to throw out a couple bets specifically in this Toledo lap market. This is my favorite market to bet, really, just in general for any style of race. You don't get it much. I only see it ever here for the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500. So this is really one of the only few spots we can get to. And like, how many times other than betting a matchup and someone like wrecks out or something, like, do you get to cash a bet while the race is still live? I absolutely love that feeling. There's nothing like it. You can sweat it out each and every lap. The 500 is a great time to do it. So I got 4 of them I'm going to throw out for you quickly. Bubba Wallace, -177. I boosted him. There's a boost over on BetRivers for some people right now. I got a 25% boost on this. Took it to -141. I know BetRivers will also have a boost on Sunday. So if this doesn't get too out of hand, they do keep it around. I think you could still get invested there. This is my heaviest bet of the weekend, 3 units. Since 2021, Bubba Wallace has led in 7 of the 8 Daytona races, 4 out of 4 in 500s. Laps led. He led laps in 5 of 6 super speedway races last year as well. So those are trends that are talking to me for Bubba Wallace. I'm going to go with the -141. I'm hammering that. I'm also going to go with one of Rod's favorite drivers, AJ Allmendinger, +125. More trends to like about AJ here leading laps. He's led laps in all 4 of his next-gen Daytona Cup Series races. 2 for 2 last year in Cup Series Super Speedway races as well. This dude does not shy away from shit. He is full-blown the entire time. He is trophy hunting. So give me AJ Allmendinger there as well. I'm also going to throw Shane Van Gisbergen, +175. I think it's a great number for SVG. Shocking to probably learn, but SVG led laps in 7 of 12 Cup Series races last season. 2 of 4 of those races came on super speedways. He led 12 total laps in those races. And now he has 4 total teammates or 4, Trackhouse cars in general to work with. Looked great at the Clash. Like, instead of I like the 3-1 top 10 bet, but instead of that, just give me SVG to lead a lap. I think they're going to want to get him out in front, get him some experience. And I think they're also going to want to get Hélio Castroneves out in front as well. 2-1. This is one of my favorite bets of the entire year. More of kind of a gut call. But I think Justin Marks is a guy who prioritizes partnerships. I think he wants to get Wendy's out in front. I think he wants to get Castroneves a little more spotlight time. And you know that Harvick and Clint and everyone in the booth is dying to talk about him when he takes the lead. So I'm not afraid to bet Hélio here for a unit to lead just a lap at 2-1. He's also not racing for points, so I think they can get creative with the strategy a little bit there. Maybe zig when some others zag for points and get to the front. Dude's also a 4-time Indy 500 winner, so I don't think the moment will be too big for him at all. Giddy the fuck up, boys. I'm all in on the to lead a lap market. Any concerns, questions, or comments from either of you?
Hey, Castroneves, former Dancing with the Stars champ too, so we know he can do it on the biggest stage.
Yeah, baby.
Well, and we also know that he's going to be in the race regardless. So this is not one that you're going to be out. So, I mean, he's going to be in the race, whether or not he gets to the front. I mean, yeah, he was just getting interviewed actually during the qualifying too. So it's kind of funny. I was seeing him on the screen. I was seeing him on the screen.
We got it in the comments. We got Travis clarifying his earlier comment. Brian Brown prediction at the beginning of the show was for Reddick winning.
Right.
See, the issue is I know so many Brians. I was even watching an episode of Cops recently, and the guy's like, what's your name? And he gives him Brian Smith. Like, that's the most like basic white name you could ever give to a cop. And like, that's a fake name. The cop takes down his name. He walks back to his car. Guy takes off. We got a little run going in the Mississippi wilderness. So, Brian, I apologize about forgetting your name, buddy. I will remember it. It's up in the dome right there. Brian Brown, BB, baby, BB.
Yeah, shout out to whoever is named Brian Smith watching this, looking in there. Your name's not fake. We promise your name's not fake.
I think we have a couple.
Yeah, we've just got a handful of bets left. I think we've got one for each of us left, if I'm looking correctly. That's the problem with Daytona. Normally we've got, a handful here, handful there. There's all these markets. We've kind of jumped around a little bit. I think we've got one each that we haven't discussed yet.
Rod, take it away, man.
I was going to say our guest. We may as well throw it there first.
Yeah, so mine is it's going to be one of those markets that's not offered every week either, and that's most laps led by any driver. It's Daytona, right? There's 200 laps around this track. It's a giant track. So the number they set at Caesars is 47.5. I'm taking the under, surprisingly, at -115. There's not a lot of follow the leader in this one. And in fact, when you start talking about fuel mileage and trying to stretch that fuel mileage, people don't want to be up front for very long. And I think we've seen that over the last couple of seasons at the Daytona 500, especially 45 laps was the most that Joey Logano led. He led the most laps in the 2024 Daytona 500 with 45. The next best was Chris Bell at 22 laps. And then in the 2023 Daytona 500, Brad Keselowski led 42. Chris Buescher led 32. Christopher Bell led 20. I don't know what it is. I think the last couple of seasons is when we really started to deal with this fuel mileage thing at Daytona, because I feel like the last couple of years before that, 67 laps Brad Keselowski led at the 2022 Daytona 500. And then 2021, Denny Hamlin leading 98 laps. But it's only the last couple of seasons that I feel like we've seen guys not wanting to be in the front for various reasons. They don't want to lead the pack because they're burning a lot of fuel, and it's the most it's the position where you can got the most, right? I mean, this all somebody has to do is duck out of line and send everybody past you and kick you out to the outside. So I don't think people want to lead that many laps anymore. I think they've wised up and said, I'm okay riding in second place for a couple of laps. And then the first place guy goes, oh, am I still in front? And then he's like, let me duck back behind somebody else. So under 47.5, I think is a pretty good number. It'll get close, but I think at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to lead 48 laps in this race.
Especially if we have something like we had at Fall Talladega. I don't know if there's enough room for 4 wide for as many laps as we saw at Fall Talladega. Nobody wants to lead. And if you've got 4 cars out at front, 4 wide for as many laps as they ran, it's going to be this guy leads a lap, and then this guy, and then this guy, and then this guy. Getting to 47.5, getting to 48 is quite a task to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll throw out my final bet of the night. I'm going winning car number over 12.5. I have this -114 currently. This was a play I placed in the offseason. It was part of a college football parlay. Shout out to the Florida Gators for getting it done in the Mortgage Home Gasparilla Bowl that day. It was originally at -170. However, it's back open at -150. So I didn't get a ton of closing line value on this, but still feel really good about this play because this is strictly a numbers play. You are getting 32 cars, if this was like everyone makes the race thing, you're getting 32 minus 13 versus 13, I should say. So like, that's just such a big differential here. And for -150, I would still be willing to pay that. You get previous Daytona 5 winners like Jimmie Johnson, who's won it 3 times, William Byron, who's won Daytona a handful of times, Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Joey Logano. So you get a handful of guys, and it also kind of gives you a place to hedge yourself. If you want to go under this, you can bet Rowdy Busch. I like Austin Cindric this week. I haven't found a way to bet him yet, but Austin Cindric's the guy I'm afraid of. Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, these types of guys. So I really enjoy this type of bet when it comes to just strength and numbers. And so I'm absolutely going down here. I'm 2 units down on it, and I would still bet it here at -150.
Yeah, not a bad number. And like you said, just the numbers game. I know there's a lot of guys under that 12 that can be realistic winners. We'll say 6 or 7 super realistic winners, and then a couple former Daytona 500 winners in Cindric and Austin Dillon that I'm not including there either. But you're right. Even at that -150, so many other cars that have a better shot to win too.
Yeah, absolutely. Elliot, take us home, man. I know you got one more bet for us. Round us out. What do you got?
Yep, I'll close it out. So obviously super speedways, you see pack racing, you see exciting finishes, you see fast cars, you also see big wrecks. So my bet that I'm going with here in the specials market, drivers not completing 100 laps over 3.5 plus 120. 100 laps is pretty deep into the race. It's halfway, I believe. And we've seen the big ones strike early. Over the last few years, last year, this number got close. We saw 3 out early in 2024. We saw a crash in the first couple of laps. 2023, I think only 1 failed to complete 100 laps, maybe 2. In 2022, we saw 4 fail to complete. And then in 2021, 12 different cars failed to reach lap 100. But it was a big crash, I believe, even as early as lap 15 that took out a lot of guys. I know that guys, especially the last couple of years in the next gen, they race more conservatively. They want to save the fuel. They're going to wait maybe until the stage ends, if they even care that much about the stage points in the Daytona 500, to go up there and get racy. But when you're running that close in a pack, it doesn't take much to completely knock out 4 guys' days. The only thing that could affect this is if you see guys be able to make quick repairs, not having the same DVP rules as we've had the last couple of years. But usually the wrecks at Daytona, pretty big too. You hit the wall pretty good. You crash into a few different cars.
Oh, yeah.
You're not making it out there to run more than half the race if you wreck early enough.
Rod, your thoughts on this one, and also my number bet? I know it's kind of your market out there that you kind of stake claim in.
Yeah, that big sigh was like, I was waiting for the big sigh to finish. I was wondering if you're going to tack onto it. No, and I think if this race does have a big wreck early, obviously this is going to cash quite quickly, and I think that's what you're kind of waiting for, is one of the big ones. They have been conservative lately in it. I think this is why I didn't touch this one when I was going through, because I thought, but maybe the trend will turn around in this instance. But for me, the number bet, I have the under, but only because the under on this one, when I got in on it, was plus 120. So I liked the plus money on that coverage, because you talked about it. I mean, you get Chastain, you get, if you like Cindric, I'm not necessarily high on that, but you get Busch, you get Larson. If you actually
hold on, you're so low on Cindric. You didn't even in your top 25 this year. I mean, you owe this man a postcard, like at least a beer, a glass of wine. I mean, before you fuck him, Rod. Jeez.
If he gives me his Venmo, I'll give him enough for a beer, and then he can cry and take all the money that he makes being a NASCAR driver and wipe his ass with it. But for me, it's like, look. I don't know what it is about it, but I took the underside of it, and but I see this as, I mean, the over is obviously, there's so many more opportunities for the over to hit. So I mean, it's a much better bet. You just have to bet a little more to win more. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it obviously there's way more opportunity on the other side of it. I just feel like the better opportunity is on the back end of it, especially at plus money.
You know me, I'll drink all the juice I can, baby. That's
hell yeah.
That's a little Seth Woolcock special for you, Elliot.
Hey, you can drink the juice. You know me. I'm taking the plus money bets, including here. I'm betting on a big one pretty early here. Quick quality update. Ryan Preece, Austin Dillon, the best 2 times right now. Zane Smith, Todd Gilliland there as well. And based on my math, I've seen 8 of the 9 open cars go. Martin Truex Jr. still has the top time. So the 56 is in the Daytona 500. So feel safe to bet on MTJ.
Get your Bass Pro hats out, boys. It's time. It's time.
Ty Dillon just snuck into the second spot too. So there you go.
Okay, that's a good point. My stream is a little behind there, so thank you, Ron. But all right, man, I tell you what, we're so excited. It's Daytona week, like we said, qualifying going on right now that will lead into the Daytona duels tomorrow night, and we will have a show for you tomorrow night after the duels, where we will give you our duel reaction with Seth and I, as well as our Xfinity and Truck Series bets. Boys, I'm glad the year's back. That's for sure.
Let's fucking go, man. Let's cash some tickets. Make sure you guys are once again checking out the IBT Racing family as well. Yeah. Come hang out with us on Discord. We're giving out a Ross Chastain signed helmet next week as well. And you can get access to our exclusive betting model on the website. So make sure you guys are doing that. Also, please do us a quick favor, real quick. Just like this video, if you enjoy this type of content, also subscribe to the channel. If you're new, it's the easiest way to support us. If you don't know, if you want to get, super invested with, if you're like, hey, I want to kind of keep these guys at arm length. I still want to keep them in the mix, but I don't know if I want to chat with them all day. Hey, just subscribe, come back, hang out with us. We're here live usually on Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, but shifting it up a little bit because it's a big week, my friends.
Yep, well, and we've done shows during the duels before and it hasn't worked out well. I pull out the example of we're talking about an Austin Hill bet or an Austin Hill DFS. We got to look over and say, guys, he's not going to make the race. And in terms of the open cars, the only one who hasn't qualified yet is Chandler Smith. So safe to say Jimmie Johnson, his time will stand up too. In the 84 will be in the Daytona 500. Big pressure there. He's got Shaq on his side, so that's should work out for him there.
Rod and Elliot just went from 6 to midnight real quick hearing that news. I'll tell you what. I think that's a place to end it, my friend.
No doubt about it. Of course, you can support Rod at RJ Villagomez, support the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, and anything else you may want to plug here, Rod. I don't need me to do your bidding for you here.
Oh, no, I liked it. Yeah, I'm always the one that has to do it, so I'm glad somebody else is doing it. No, follow me on Twitter, RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with my buddy Cody Zeeb. Mega episode out, 2 hours long for Daytona, so you can catch a lot more of the bets that I love there. And then, of course, catch me on SoYouLikeSports.com. Just had some handball. I really killed it on handball this last weekend.
Team handball or like
team handball. German, the German League handball. Formula E, I'll be having some of that out here pretty soon as well. So, I dive deep into the sports handbook. You want to get in the sports book more than you ever imagined. SoYouLikeSports.com is the place to do it.
Get in deep, baby. Get in deep to that sports book. Let's go.
No doubt about it. We love it, and we love having you on, Rod, and excited to have you on as much as we can within reason throughout the 2025 season as well. One of our favorites, as always. I called you a guest earlier. That was disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
I noticed that as soon as I said it. I was like, why did I just call
an owner of the company. This is a
Rod
shareholder of the company.
Man. I'm disrespecting the man.
I've been called way worse by so many people. Look at the fact that you even had me here in the first place makes me happy. So we're good. Call me what you want.
Call him King next time, Elliot.
Call
him my Lord and Savior.
The man, the myth, the legend, the 7 seconds of greatness for the intros.
That extends beyond the talking too. I just for you guys.
Seth, man, I mean, we've already done lots of plugging for IBT, but there is lots of content to look at too. 19th hole golf show, entertainment show, popcorn and root beer firing off as well lately.
Yeah, man. If you guys like gambling on the NFL, college football, entertainment betting markets, or PGA, we got you covered here at IBT Media. So make sure you guys are supporting everyone we have on this channel. A lot of great creators, a lot of fun fuckery going on here in every show we have. We also got awesome clips coming out each and every single week as well. So thank you all so much, and excited to be back down the back road in a little over 24 hours, my friend.
Yep, a little over 24 hours. Thanks, everyone, for rolling on the back road with us. Like we said, catch our live reaction to the duels tomorrow, as well as Xfinity and Truck Series bets. And as the great Joe Buck once said, we will see you tomorrow night.